Is that a book or a comic book? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the questionnaire. I am.
Hey, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? You asking if this is a book or a comic book, Hardaway? Firstly, this is the wicked and the divine. Look, do you know what it is now? Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like a graphic novel.
And as the first line in the book says, and once again, we return to it. Yeah, that being the questionnaire, ladies and gentlemen. I figured it out, bro. We're at episode 15.
Oh, well?
Yeah. We're getting real close to 20. That's what's up, right? You know? So, you know, I am the unknown factor, a.k.a. that Wade Wilson of hip-hop, a.k.a. apparently the Nick Fury, you know, the white one, of giving interviews. We'll just run with that. And let me light this cigar as my co-host introduce himself.
I am J.D. Hardaway, the fat ass that likes to eat.
Man, what you eating on?
A Snickers.
All right, man. Well, at least that way you won't run off on our guest today. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Jaye Williams in the house.
How you doing, bud?
He just stayed silent when I said that. I've never. Yeah. Hold on, AJ.
Did you say AK or AJ?
I said AJ. I mean,
okay.
I
sounded like K, so I was wondering. You talking to me?
Look. I haven't had any whiskey today on this particular show.
Okay.
Right?
Just the audio thing. That's all.
Yeah.
No, all's going well. It's not too bad.
Man, can I say?
We now know his hip-hop name. It's AK. His hip-hop name is going to be AK.
Yeah, that'll be it.
I'm pretty sure that's already taken, Hardaway.
Yeah, it might be. I have no idea.
There's probably 10, man. And I know, in all honesty, you have it from the questionnaire, bro. I'm not even going to get into the kind of music you like. I'm sorry, it's terrible, and that's all I'll say about it. But whatever.
I like all kinds.
To each their own, man. Look, just you get me with the country, right? You really do. But I will say, it is a pleasure.
Whatever. I like Dirk Bentley. That's my dude. Yeah. Good, man.
No idea who that is. No idea who that even is at all. So that shows where my country knowledge is. Whatever. It's very much lacking, right? But I will say, as far as country, it's been a pleasure over here on the Quest. We've had people from so many different countries. Ireland, correct, AJ? Am I fucking up? Huh?
I'm in Canada. I'm
Canada. What's up?
Not even close.
Yeah, man. You good? You good?
Firstly, Hardaway, you really gonna ask me if I'm good?
Yeah. Do you need a Twix?
How many fucking candy bars do you have?
I got a whole box, bro.
All right. Man, ask the guest the question. Look, my apologies, AJ. I ain't gonna lie. I love that we're going so international. We've had, if you look through all the past guests, there have been several from the U.S. There have been several from several different places as well. Dominic Bercier is actually from Canada, who's a past interview. It was a phenomenal interview. So we're going to actually get into this interview as opposed to the riff raff that we're doing right now, because that's what it is. Hardaway, ask a question.
Why did you jump on our show and deal with us?
That's a question. I don't know if anybody can answer that, but you guys reached out. Your timing was right. And
we appreciate it. As do we, and whatnot. But here's the real question, though: what made you get into comics, and why do you stay into it? Like, why do you continue to do the comic book industry?
Well, from our part, my sister and I run our own company. We've started out in graphic novels because we grew up reading them from childhood. So we've been interested in reading comic books for 40, 50 years. We've always loved the medium. We love the visual. We love the storytelling. We never gravitated away from it. I mean, we haven't bought into any of the new stuff over the last 5 years, more or less for economical reasons. Prices just kept going up. When we first started buying them on a regular basis, it was 35 cents a copy. You could buy one comic for nowadays for 10 compared to 10 back in the old days when I was first getting it. So it's a lot more harder now. That said, we've certainly gone into watching a lot of the movies, the MCU movies or the DCU movies, TV shows and all that. So the interest is still there for the characters and the storytelling for entertainment wise. But with regards to what we do, we've done our own thing with The Adventures of Astrodog is what I wrote, which is more for our kids. The Sorcerer's Children is an epic fantasy that my sister wrote and illustrated. I edited it. Right now, I've done more into screenwriting at the moment. She's just come out with a novel for full length, part 1 of 5. I don't know if we can consider it a YA, like young adult, but it's around that type of age, maybe a little older. But she just came out with that I think she just launched last month in September. So, but we're still keeping up to date with as much news as we can of the comic book industry.
There are so many questions that just popped in my head from everything that you said. So we're just going to spin with one of them. Hardaway knows how my shit runs. What do you think of the impact as far as just the overall price increase in comic books? And do you think that has a lot of effect of the fact that, it used to be as a kid, you could go take a dime, and I mean, this predates us, obviously, even, but there was a time you could go take a dime and buy a comic book, or even in, just change, or like $1.50, you know what I mean? And now all these comics are at least $3 a pop if you want to buy the issues, sometimes upwards of $5. What do you think that does to the industry overall, and what do you think caused that more than anything? I have my opinions. I'm curious about yours.
It's had a major impact because, like I said, my sister and I, my brother, we all pooled our money together, and we'd go out and get the comics. It started when we were kids, 35 cents, 30 cents. In the 30s, 40s, it was a dime. First Superman Action Comics was a dime. So over the 30s, for the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, it went from 10 cents to 30 cents over 3-4 decades. Then over the next few decades, it's gone 10 times that, more than in some cases. So they're $3.99 on average, $3.99 American. I'm Canadian, so that they convert that. $3.99, $4. It's going to be about $5.25 per $5.25 for one comic. That adds up over time. So it's exponentially gone up. It has to have had a huge impact on, the economy, especially with the economy it is nowadays, people affording it. It's just common sense and logical to assume it's made a big impact. That said, the readership numbers have gone down, but with the prices being up, I don't know if proportionately what they bring in to the companies is relatively the same. So if you lose 10 times as much the audience, but the cost is 10 times more per issue, maybe they can still, I guess, still produce the comics at the cost that they're doing for last number of years at $3.99. But they haven't gone to $4.99, $5.90, $10.99, $12, $15. They haven't gone like that. But it's been at $3.99, $4.99 for a special issue or an extra long issue.
Variant cover that's a halt, some kind of
yeah. So it's made an impact with us. We had to quit. We just stopped buying them after 30, almost 40 years.
Curiosity, why don't you guys occasionally buy graphic novels if nothing else?
We occasionally do. I mean, we picked up first 5 issues of Saga. In trade.
Phenomenal series, by the way, in my opinion.
Yeah. We love that so far, but we haven't gotten back to get any, because I think they probably come out with maybe at least 4 more after.
The Saga graphic novels at this point in time when we're filming this episode, I believe it's at 7 or 8 volume.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty deep. No, yeah, it's pretty deep, AJ. It really is. But let's flip this, man.
We're filming this episode.
That's what I said. I said filming this episode. All right, so let's flip this up right quick. Back to a point you were making earlier, that based on that, you guys had went to more watching the films and everything. Curious, like, what is it like for you? Because I know as a comic book fan, like, I just watched. Has everyone in here watched Werewolf by Night?
No.
All right, well, you get a slight spoiler, Hardaway. The fact that they had Man-Thing in that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
See, look, I just blew my co-host's mind. He's like, "Oh, see, now you're gonna go watch Werewolf by Night, aren't you?" Yeah, they had.
No, that actually got me interested back into the MCU in general.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I wasn't in. Like, I stopped watching at Ragnarok. Like, I just stopped caring about the movie.
All right, well, hold on, man. We're not trying to get into a ramble on that, even though we could definitely go on one. My question is, huh?
Oh, the ramble's over. I'm coming back.
Really? Jeez, OP, you usually have 20 more minutes worth. I love you, Hardaway. But what do you think of that as far as like you being able to see that? You know what I'm saying? And you're seeing these characters you read as a kid on a whole different level. And do you think people are aware of how much the comic book industry affects film and TV anymore? I mean, I know they are to a certain degree. Like everybody knows The Walking Dead's a comic. That's fine. I could sit here and ramble off a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to say Two Guns because Stephen Grant was gracious enough to deal with our dumbasses as well for some reason. You know, things like that. People just aren't aware that they're comics or were based on comics. Yeah. Like, do you think like society as a whole knows?
Yeah. I mean, you go back to Road to Perdition. That came out with comics. I didn't know that was a graphic novel. You know, I was big into comics back then too. Nobody knew until, hey, that's based on a graphic novel.
I wish I could remember our previous guest that brought up the very specific book you just did as well, man. That's hilarious, AJ.
It's always been one that stands out as it doesn't look like when you think of graphic novels, and most people who don't really buy comics on a regular basis think of graphic novels. They don't think of something like a Road to Perdition type of storyline and characters. So that's what's so beautiful about that, and that fact that it was a graphic novel. I think they do now, in the larger sense to your questions, I think they're much more aware that graphic novels and comic books are more variety than simply Marvel DC superheroes. So when they hear, and if they're not aware of that time, when they learn about it, they're not that big a surprise. It's like, oh, okay, this is based on a graphic novel, cool. Instead of what? Way back in the day. For me, I get all my like I've always liked superheroes. I grew up with that. I still appreciate it. So that's why I get my, whether for good or ill for Marvel, I get satisfied of watching my superhero adventures on Disney Plus, in the theater, on regular TV now. I haven't had any impulse to go out and buy the comics, ironically. They don't make me want to go back to them. They don't.
All right, well, I have a question for you. I know it's expensive due to when you look at the back of any book or comic book or anything printed. When it goes to Canada, it's just astronomically more expensive. Canada needs to work on that shit.
Yeah.
So,
and it's getting worse.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, it's crap. Like something we'll spend $7 on for a novel, they're spending damn near $20. It's like horrid. But besides that, have you not thought about subscribing to for instance, Marvel, DC, Image? All of them have applications that you can read all of their comics online, or via the app and whatnot for a monthly fee of like.
Real quick, Hardaway, not all of them, a great bulk of them, but there are certain things they make sure to get that paper money on. But so I just got to say that.
All right, well,
No.
okay, but the vast majority, especially of the main lines,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to read on those apps. Have you ever thought about downloading those apps and checking them out?
I have looked at it, and that's been about before. Well, online when I was saying the same thing is like go to like Marvel Unlimited if you want and find some deals there. Again, I'm getting satisfied with the live action and all that stuff. I don't have that pull to go back. It's not that simply I don't have the like. It's been a long time since I bought regular comics on a weekly basis. To sort of even go back right now. Well, the impulse isn't there. The pulse to go back and start reading all these different ones now, it's just not there. I mean, they haven't pulled me back into it. Now, as well, I grew up and have longest wanted like the physical copy in my hand when I was reading comics. It's very few I've read online. I did read, and they had it for free at the time, Sandman issue 1. Because I knew they're promoting the series that's coming out on Netflix, live action. So they had a free. I'm not sure what one. It might have been Comixology or something like that. Had the free. You could download or open up whatever Sandman issue 1, and I read that. That was probably the last digital one I wrote. Not the only one, but the last one I've read. That was just earlier this year. So for the most part, I just haven't had that pull to just commit. Okay, and now I can get all these for a cheaper price, and the pull's not there anymore.
Let me ask you this, man. As far as you saying that you watching those films has it in any way, shape, or form inclined you to want to go to those comics? Do you think it's just because I don't know how to put this lightly, but I mean we're all older. Do you think perhaps that has a different effect on like a 13 to an 18 or 20-year-old goes and sees those films?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the generation thing has a major impact on it. I didn't grow up with iPads reading comics. A lot of younger generation are growing up reading their comics on the iPad. I mean, just pulling up and downloading a whole stream of comics. I'll get back to them, lie in bed reading it, or like that. I still have 8,000 plus copy, individual comic books, mostly Marvel, DC, with a couple thousand of a bunch of independent, smaller stuff. But I still have them lined up here, and going back to early 70s, mid 70s, and right up to the early 2000s, when I was on a regular basis going to the comic book store. I still have them, and I love the physical copy still. If I had a choice, and they're even priced, and I wanted to get back into it, I'd be going for the physical still.
Same. Yeah, no, I totally understand that, AJ. Now to that aspect, let's flip this back directly onto you, man. I'm curious, when you started writing, what was it that made you aim at children's comic? I mean, because you live in the comic industry, and we briefly covered it. There's comic books for everything, whether you're referring to like the stuff Garth Ennis writes, which I wouldn't recommend for. I don't think I've ever written. I don't think I've ever wrote. I don't think I've ever read anything by Garth Ennis that my brain would go, oh yeah, a kid can read this.
No,
he's not that kind of writer. As well as Swingers, and I wouldn't even recommend From Hell or Watchmen, because it's really serious, dark content. But then you have that other aspect that's completely for children, as well as everything in between, because that's just how the medium is turned. What drove you specifically to be like, I'm going to write a comic for kids?
Well, the Adventures Astrodog was my sister's idea. She came up with the concept of a young girl and her super smart dog who live on the moon and solve mysteries, sort of like a Scooby-Doo thing. I like all age range. I'll go from a G movie to PG to an R-rated. If my mood sets me, I find value in every level. I do have a nostalgic aspect with comics and cartoons, so I can find that part in me to go there and just write stuff that I think a lot of kids would enjoy. But it has to also appeal to an adult. It's not gonna be dumbed down for an adult, but a kid might enjoy it. I want the kids to be the primary target, but not the only target that'll like it.
I gotta ask then, do you ever slip any of them Pixar type? This is an adult joke, but there ain't no way you can catch it unless you have some knowledge. You know what I mean, kind of thing.
No.
Okay, I just had to ask.
Not that type of stuff.
Yeah. I just well, I mean, because Pixar does that crap all the time where they say something and it's like, oh, that was funny. Why is that funny? Never mind, kid. Like as a parent, I get that.
Yeah.
Can I just say real quick,
man? I'm sorry. As a double entendre.
Can I just say real quickly as well? If you all watch the show and you're letting your kids read comic books and you see me reading something, please review it before you let your kid read it. I read some screwy things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, like Plastic and Vinyl are perfect examples of this. That are quick standalone series, but I don't know if you've had to play. I would highly recommend those, AJ, but they're very dark.
Do not give them to a child.
Yeah, don't.
No,
you know what
same
I mean?
with Saga, like we mentioned earlier with Saga.
Oh my God.
That's why my range goes, from young to old.
Do you think there's part of that that's kind of driven people away as far as from comic books, as far as for letting just younger kids buy them, and makes it because a lot of times I hear like the crowd, it's typically you don't see kids a lot. You know what I mean?
No, I try and keep up as much with the updated Marvel and DC of what's going on in the stories and all that. And it's everything I've seen, even on social media. It's when there are people talking about Marvel and DC comics or like the regular recent X-Men or recent Batman. It's always much older people, and it seems to be much of the storylines are driven. I watched the season 1 of Titans. I wouldn't let my kid watch Titans if I had a kid.
No, the cartoon is where it's at.
Yeah, exactly.
For when it comes to children and whatnot. But the thing is this: a lot of the advertisements when it comes to comic books and whatnot are geared towards adults.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of children comic books. Like there's the Justice League and Friends and whatnot, and Spider-Man and Friends.
Yeah, I'm not debating.
Chibi.
Yeah, I'm not debating that there's not a crapload of children's comics, because there are. I mean, I'm just saying, like, and I say this even going to my local comic book store, which I'm typically in there every 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my de-stressor.
They are not advertised that much. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like parents don't even know that there are comics like that for children, because unless you go to the comic book store specifically and look for them, you're not going to know. You're going when you go online, what are you going to see? Batman's best friends with the fucking Joker going around fighting zombie Joker beings and stuff like that. Like, it's like, I'm not letting my child read that or the Joker just ripped his face off and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I'd rather have the one where Joker's a goofball and trying to steal the world's candy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's for children.
Yeah. But for the longest time, there's more of a middle ground, like certainly in the 70s and 80s, where it wasn't strictly for kids, especially Uncanny X-Men or Avengers when George Perez and Byrne were doing them. But they certainly weren't the over-the-top, like you said, tear the face off type of exploding chests while, beating the villain's head into mush, but being the hero about it. And so there wasn't that level either. So that's what I don't feel they necessarily nowadays do as much. Again, that's just from what I try and keep up on the news with it. I don't buy every single issue or hardly any issues anymore. Actually, I don't buy any issues of the Marvel DC anymore. But just from what I've heard, and that's why I said the pull isn't for me to come back as much anymore. Again, generational thing. Yeah. Perhaps where I grew up.
So I take it that's why you try to do. That's why you do the comics that you do and the way you do them is because you want to try to bring that sense of E for everybody. Well, but still deep enough. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is.
To a certain degree, for sure. That's what influenced me and had the most impression on me with regards to comic books was still the 70s and 80s, which I still think. I mean, I still think the John Byrne, Chris Claremont run on X-Men is the best X-Men run there's ever been. That's my opinion. Of course, when I still remember the feelings of getting, Alpha Flight's first appearance in the X-Men, which was like issue 120, Uncanny X-Men Byrne and Claremont, and just salivating almost to get to the next issue. And then the issue after that, and then the issue after that. That eventually over the decades, when it got to the 90s and 2000s, it was like, whatever, I'll pick up the next issue. That feelings never came back. And it eventually totally, it's even just, gone completely for the most part. But I still, I don't know. Maybe I can just speak for myself. With all the movies and television that's come out, I get my satisfaction of seeing an Avengers and Captain America and Iron Man. Thor to a lesser degree. He used to be one of my favorites. Last two movies were Ragnarok it had its good stuff and it's had its stuff I didn't like. Love and Thunder I did not like at all. But there's, Black Panther was, I thought, incredible. I look forward to seeing Wakanda Forever. But again, more of a serious approach, much more emotional approach to a movie. I don't like the goofiness. If they go real too goofy, like Taika Waititi has done with Thor. But I think James Gunn balances that out nicely with Guardians. So, I mean, it's all over the place. You have so much different. You look at all the Disney Plus shows that they've done. Every show has a different tone, different feel, a different approach. Some you may not like. Some, most of them I have.
All right, I got to jump in real quick, man. Because firstly, I agree. Thor: Love and Thunder is the worst Marvel film that Marvel has put out that was under the MCU banner. I'm sorry. I hope no one hates me for that.
I was like, man, the original Fantastic Four film.
That's why I said under the MCU banner, right? And like even She-Hulk, in my opinion, has so far surpassed it as far as just storyline wise and everything. I don't know what was up with that movie, but Hardaway, I was trying to go somewhere, but now I have to go somewhere else. On the note of that, man, I totally agree, AJ. That's the worst comic book film ever made. Is that Fantastic Four film? Yeah.
Which one? There's been a few fantastic.
Well, in all sincerity, I don't know that I would rate any of them among. Which one did you said? Josh Tranks, which I had to look at. Josh Tranks, because that was the one that was their second reboot. And then I want to point out there is another Fantastic Four they made ostensibly just to keep the rights. It was never made publicly available.
Roger Corman's.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube a few years ago. Watched it through YouTube. Yeah, someone uploaded it years ago on YouTube, so might be there still. I don't know. I did see it. Yeah,
that's probably the worst in my opinion, right? But Hardaway totally sidetracked me to bring it up because that's not the point I was trying to make. Because the point I wanted to get into is, what do you think of the fact that if you look at comic books now, like comic books used to be comic books, you know what I mean? And that was it. And then maybe you got some like trading cards, you know what I mean? That were the pictures. But if you look at it now, the holy hell was that?
No, that's nice.
That was a phone.
Hold on for a sec.
Oh, not a problem. Man, I had such a great segue, and his phone had to go off.
Sorry.
All right.
Speaker.
Oh, that's good.
Charging.
I just figured it was telemarketer, man. Telemarketers always have the worst damn timing. You know what I mean? But back to my point. Yeah. But if you look at the industry now, you know what I mean? There's everything from collectible card games. There's obvious trading cards. There's, you've got the miniature games that they play. Huh?
Oh! If you didn't know, the Marvel, Image, DC game of the century is called Hero Clicks, bro. Man, I need to get paid for
Hero
this
Clicks
shit.
is another example.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is that what drove you guys to do what you're getting ready to do? Which, let me see, when was the release? Because you put it here. Yeah, you're going to start it this summer, fall, as far as with taking the novel, The Sorcerer's Children, and development into a card game. Is that specifically what drove you? And I'm curious, let's say you were doing this like 20 years ago. You think that ever would have even been a thought?
No, you couldn't do it. I mean, the printing technology now is the only thing that allows us to do it. That's when we first came out with the Sorcerer's Children in 1999. It was as a 4-issue, comic book miniseries. We went to offset printing, so we had to order at least 1,000 copies from the printers. This is before digital printing. So the minimum order we could order ourselves, if we wanted even just a couple copies, was 1,000. And so we, of course, get stuck with something else. Being indie people, you're going to be stuck with books. Nowadays, with the digital printing, you could, if I want a copy of the graphic novel like that, I can buy one at cost, as from our printers, or you can buy 2, or you can buy 5. So it's doing nowadays with the digital printing, which wasn't really available 20 so years ago. It's, and same with the card games. The card game I have like right here already, it's just essentially like a deck of cards. So, with a lot of artwork on it, or from all the characters from the books, and then
you only get a corner of the images.
Yeah, it's like Magic, the Gathering.
I play Magic hard.
So with that, but there's companies out there that'll produce that whole card game, and you link it to your site. You can go. It goes right to their site. It's a little store. You buy it. So it cut no overhead for small fries like us, and it's very doable. That was not available 20 years ago. Probably wasn't available 15 years ago. But nowadays, thankfully, there's that option.
What do you think that's done to so many industries as a whole, as far as the fact? And then when I say so many industries, I'm referring to everything from film to music to comic books to the gaming resources, just based on the fact that somebody can essentially create something and then instantly put it up available online to where you can purchase it through a different distributor, and technically you're still, like, that person's making a little bit of money, but you know what I mean? Like, what do you think that's done to things overall?
I mean, there's a lot more people in the indie market now because of that. Whether you could argue the quality, that's a different story. I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to pick out anybody and say, yeah, sure, anybody can do it, but you're going to get a lot of people like this person who doesn't. His quality, his writing, and his art. I'm not. I wouldn't do that. I'm just more or less worried about. Be concerned about our own product on that sense. But it makes it available. I mean, the indie industry would be exploding because the availability of companies to produce and print and distribute and sell your item while giving you a royalty for each sale, and you basically, after it's uploaded to them, you don't have to do anything, and you have no overhead. And that's the big thing.
Overhead is a big thing, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you are doing something, always think about the overhead. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't tell you about that, but the overhead, which is the cost of like materials, the cost of time, employees, that's all an overhead. The space that you're using, overhead. Keep that in mind before you just go, I'm going to create and do something and whatnot. Well, is it within the budget of what you can do? If not, build it up first before you just dive in head first, because you're going to be in some pain. I'm sorry. That's horrible business advice.
Research. He's a great business advisor, let me tell you. So On a little bit of business advice, man, it's obvious. It doesn't surprise me that the part of your job that excites you most is when you have a story to tell. But I'm curious, when you flip it to the other side and you don't know where the story is going, what do you do as far as, do you have any tactics in that moment to help you be able to figure out
where I go, how it ends, and that? Essentially, for me, if I'm coming up with an idea, it's usually the idea comes to me. It's whether I'm just watching a show and hear a line, oh, that sparks something. Then I start thinking this, where I could go with this, or where it feels like it's organically going. For when I start, like I'm doing script writing, I've been writing some scripts, like feature-length strips of late. I'd start with a one-line, log line as they call it, just a one-line idea of what this script's going to be. Then I'll do a synopsis, which is just like, a paragraph, a couple paragraphs, beginning, middle, end. Then I'll do an outline, which can be 4, 5, 6 pages, but following the plot that I already have, as well as breaking down some of the characters ahead of time, too. So it just progress to longer, to progress, getting longer and longer. But I do know typically where it ends when I come up with the synopsis, which is just the paragraph length. Anything can change while you're writing it, though. Anything can change.
Are there
interesting
locked in stone?
I start my process for writing. I usually start with the conversation. Mm-hmm. Like I try to start it off with 2 characters or 3 characters communicating with each other and whatnot about a situation, and see where that, in my mind, where that conversation goes. And if that conversation goes to nothing, then that's all it is. I scrap it. If the conversation goes to something phenomenal or really, really creepy and weird, I'm like, we're running with this.
Like a Borg assimilating a Jedi, but you can get to that in the previous episode, right? But yeah. I'm curious, man. Have you ever started a story and wrote the synopsis, and then it just ends up going so much different than you wrote that even you are kind of like, intriguing?
Not usually not that far, but sometimes it does change into a different ending, different direction. Because again, the synopsis is like a couple paragraphs compared to if you're writing a novel, it's much longer, or script, full length feature script. And you also bring in a lot more characters than you'd have in the synopsis. So people often while you're writing a scene, you need another character in there. And if that character is something you really like, that character is coming back or getting broader. So, yeah.
All right. What's your favorite type of character to write about or develop?
Oh, for which medium, though? That would all depend.
Oh, okay. We'll do 3 mediums: fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. Yeah, genres. All right, but if we're going, I said genres, mediums: comic book, movie, novel.
Yeah, geez, that's tough.
I try.
For comic books, if I could write a superhero stuff, that's probably what I'd be, or pulp fantasy. I still appreciate a lot, whether it's Conan or Tarzan, or create my own. I created my own character, the Ruby Warrior, a long time ago, back in high school, who's basically a John Carter fantasy type character, and that character's always stayed with me. So fantasy would be sort of, pulp superhero type of thing. In film, I've written Christmas movies, I've written horror movies, I've written fantasy movies, I've written spec scripts from sci-fi to a Law and Order spec script. So my genre, really hops around. It's because I like all genres. If I can find a story if I'm in the mood for a crime drama, I'll focus in on that. I've never followed the philosophy. I know some teachers in screenwriting, find your genre, stick with it, and become really good at it. And if you want to write a different type of genre, well, then You wait till you've really mastered the one, and it's like, no. You write the story that's in you, and if you happen to be in the horror mood and you love this idea for a horror movie, go with it. But if you suddenly have a rom-com idea that you're suddenly sentimental for, and it's sort of something really funny that you kind of like, go with that. Don't let anyone tell you don't. Just stick with the one and just stay with that. No.
See, I like that, because if one of my favorite writers, if Stephen King followed the teachers, that teacher's professor or whatever idea one time, we would have never gotten the Dark Tower series ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have never even got that. It would have just been like a crappy slasher book. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. The only reason, like, it would have been bad if he would have just stuck to his main genre, which was psychological horror. You know what I'm saying? If that was it, we would have never got the cool stories that we've gotten from him.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very true. Like, because it ostensibly would have became a clown that probably had the ability of healing like Deadpool, and that would have been it, as opposed to what it was, which is a whole different level of things. But let's flip to something else, AJ. Right? I'm curious, man. You said you'd like to really just write superheroes. So, like, let's say you were just given full reign of the industry, and you could like put a superhero team together. Now, mind you, I'm not saying you can mix DC and Marvel characters or like throw, like, you have to give me like a team that you could literally, like, you could do it, because you're not going to have somebody jumping down your neck looking at you going, dude, what the hell are you doing? That's Superman with Captain America.
Still say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they would, but you know what I mean? Not to the level of like you're trying to put Lobo on a team with Deadpool. Like, as much as I would love to see like a huge run with them two douches on a team, it would be freaking hilarious. Oh my God. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But like, what team would you pick, man? Well, let's start with like, who would you go with? Like, what organization are you going to go with? What comic book company?
I'd go with probably Marvel still.
See, I honestly, I didn't want to assume and make an ass of myself, but I figured as much, AJ. So, if you could assemble a team in Marvel, let's say of 8 people, to write a story with, what 8 are you choosing?
All in one team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same book. I gotta have Thor on there. I'd have Moon Knight. And Wolverine has been overused so many times, but he's always been a favorite of mine. So he's the Canadian represent there. So
hey, you can always pick a member of Alpha Flight, show them a little love, bro. Come on.
I was like, what's up with Puck then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was gonna get to Sasquatch myself, but
I mean, yeah.
Wait. So hold on, real quick. Let's run this down because we interrupted AJ. Right? We got Thor, we got Wolverine, we got Sasquatch, we got, man, I'm missing one you said.
Moon Knight. Probably, like you said, every Wolverine. So there's about 5 there. Probably Ben Grimm thing.
Okay.
He's always been my favorites.
He said that extra muscle.
Yeah, I'd probably, for fun, throw in Black Widow and Scarlet Witch. I'm not crazy about the movie of the Black Widow movie, but the character I always like. Invisible Woman, because she's long been underrated and probably one of the most powerful characters.
Okay. I was about to say this.
Out there, really.
She's so broken.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the ability to not only turn yourself invisible, but turn other things and people and parts of them invisible, as well as, force fields where you could start inside a person and expand, or block off their oxygen all around their head. So
hold on, then.
That's what I'm saying.
She's much more deadly than most people.
I just got to know, though, then, based on that team, there's part of me that's like, where are you taking this story? And now I'm like, are they all going to have to deal with an evil, invisible woman? Because
I better hope not.
That would be.
Yeah.
Hey, look, man,
that
I
would
love.
be great.
Maybe from Parallel World, they did one of the multiverse things.
Yeah, and I mean they've done that with Richards with Jesus,
Yeah.
man. Every time I can't remember this
Maker.
name's character, huh?
The Maker.
The Maker.
His
Yeah,
name's the Maker.
yeah, with the Maker in that case. God, you could have to do
One
that
of the
with Sue
greatest
Storm, and
of
it's like it's the Unmaker. She just puts a force field inside you, and you get unmade.
Yeah.
Look,
I mean,
look.
I think it was might have been John Byrne when he had his run on it, was starting to push that she's a lot more powerful than a lot of people gave her credit for. Because when she's, of course, introduced back in the 60s and then got to the 70s, she was the wife of the leader. She was the homemaker. She was the mother. But then we start expanding. Well, she was a teammate too, and she fought alongside them. But but people like the Thing the most, or the Human Torch.
Yeah, it's funny because you bring that up, though. I'm pretty confident she could kill every other member of the Fantastic Four with pretty little thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's no question.
Or
the only one that would give her problems is Thing, because every time her force field is hit, it causes some form of damage, and that man hits really freaking hard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but when it comes to the Human Torch, there is no flame on if there's no oxygen. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to Reed Richards, bro, I will put your marble. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's kind of terrifying. That's kind of terrifying.
And being invisible all the time, none of them have the extra sense or powers to find out where she is.
See,
bro, like
look,
you already seen how the Scarlet Witch did somebody dirty. Hold on, you already seen how the Scarlet Witch did somebody dirty by taking his mouth away. He started to freak out. All right, now what happens when you're sitting there like, I'm going to work you with my hands, and she's like, what hands? Because she turned him, is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you're psychically like, what the hell's going on? And now, boom, your head pops because you put a force field in your jaw, like right in your mouth, a little marble, and then expanded it real quick, and your breaks your neck. She is horrifying.
Yeah,
that's
all I know.
Very deadly if she wanted to. Yeah.
No, AJ, you need to take the team that you just built and make them fight her, and write that script and send it to Marvel and be like, look at this. Because technically you've assembled a team that in all rights, they could take her. It would throw them off initially when she went crazy. But I mean, just the Scarlet Witch in and of herself is another one of those players that's scary, No more mutants. Do what? Right? Like you said words.
No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But that jaw breaks, she ain't gonna be saying no more mutants at all. All right. She won't even.
But that's my point, bro. As a team,
she was there.
That's what I'm saying.
Up invisible.
Well, no, you can't do that with Wolverine, bro. He covered that. You literally built a team that would be phenomenal to go against an evil, invisible woman. AJ, do you realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it'd be fun.
Yeah,
it'll be very interesting because you got to remember, Invisible Woman's damn near as smart as Reed Richards. She's not stupid by any means.
No.
And she's going to know, because Wolverine was a part of the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So is Spider-Man and all of them. All right. So you are talking about a woman who knows them in and out, and every last one of them consider her just the Invisible Woman. Mm-hmm. All right. If you do the storyline right, she will kill that team in her universe. And then she will go to the next universe, and it might play out different in the 616 universe. But her original universe, she's going to murder them because they won't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can play that really well, man. So
they're all slightly different in each universe too.
Yeah, I would love to see that, AJ. I'm serious. Like you should write it and pitch it to Marvel, and hey, dude, you never know what they will and won't pick up. I'm just saying, just you assembled a phenomenal team to go against that character. It's intrigued my brain at a very, very deep level. Another thing that intrigues my brain is, so you love Wolverine, why you hate the Punisher of all people?
Yeah.
I used to quite ironically when he was originally like a guest starring, he'd guest star in Spider-Man or in Daredevil or Captain America. I always appreciated his character a lot then. I even liked the idea of basically an ordinary guy in a Marvel universe. He's basically the everyman that we can relate to one-on-one, trying to survive in a universe full of, crazy villains, superpowered villains and all that. They started to get him back. Okay, he's just basically going to go around and...
Ooh, we got to cut out.
Whoa.
Hey.
We lost
I thought you... Why are you messing with Electro, bro? I told you not to mess with Electro. Oh, our guest is back. Oh, no, dude, our guest is back.
Then I'll go. Yeah. Right back into this topic, man, because I wanted to get more into it as far as your opinion with the Punisher. Just based on what you were saying, it makes me think you didn't like Garth Ennis's run.
I didn't get any of them, but I did look through them when they were out in the stands, and not my cup of tea, shall we say, being Canadian and somewhat British. But
well, then I won't recommend the Cross to you, but that's a whole nother point altogether. Yeah. Right? I just found that a very odd contradiction, man. Just because I look at Wolverine and I look at Punisher, I see a lot of similarities between those two characters. You know what I mean? Just one's a depowered version of the other, ostensibly.
Well, actually, Great Britain, I got to say, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but Captain Britain said it the best way when he described Wolverine. All right? Wolverine will maim you, break you, and basically torture you 1,000 ways till Sunday, but he rarely kills. Rarely. Punisher kills. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That man will kill you. It don't matter who you are. If you broke any law in front of this man, you gonna die.
Man, Wolverine killed his own son at one point. Don't feed me that crap heart away.
He killed a portion of his sons and daughters because they were trying to murder countless people, and they're the type that will heal almost as good as him. So, but
Wolverine, look, I ain't gonna sit here and argue the semantics of whether Wolverine's an asshole or not, because let's be real honest, right? That character's a bit of an asshole. I'm sorry. I love the character Wolverine. I'm way more for Wade than anything, but I mean that's just my personal opinion.
The key difference I will see between Wolverine is that he's not hunting down people to kill. Punisher's hunting down people to kill. Wolverine will get into a fight with ninjas who are trying to slice him up. No one's going to blame him for killing ninjas with swords who've trying to kill him, who've already murdered people. When you're even a crime boss with your crime family sitting in your own house watching TV, and a bazooka missile comes in and blows you all to pieces, that's different than Wolverine, who's not gonna, hey, you're a bunch of criminals, I'm gonna rush in and kill you all. Wolverine doesn't do that.
Andy girl.
That's the key. That's one of the key differences. It's not about killing. It's the motivation behind the killing, the reason behind it. That's right. And that's fair point. Fair point. I used to love the Punisher. I thought the Punisher. When he got his first miniseries, I think it was Mike Baron. Mike Zeck was the artist. It was a 4-issue miniseries, his very first. I snatched that right up. I still have it. When he got his own series of Punisher and the Punisher War Journal, I was buying them. But when they started leaning into just hunting down, killing anybody who's a criminal in cold blood and in gory ways, in extra violent ways, and that went on and on and on. That just sort of bore down on me as, a fan of his. I want to see more dimension to you. I know it's hard to do. That's the definition of his character. His wife, his kids were killed. I'm now a vigilante for the rest of my life.
Oh, did you see the run where they actually did do the Punisher in an interesting way? Mm-hmm. Thanos came in and killed everybody on the planet. Thanos wins. All right, that's the line. I got it actually. Some of it. I don't have it all. But essentially, spoiler alert for people who have not read this. All right. The Punisher is the last one standing. Like, he is on his deathbed. Everybody else has died. He's the last one. He's on this side, and he's just like, ugh. He was like, I would do and give anything to get my revenge on Thanos. Mephisto pops up and goes, anything? And he's like, yeah. So he turns this man into Ghost Rider. And then the Punisher stuck on the planet for 1,000 years or something like that, like hundreds of years, by himself, just riding around as the Ghost Rider, talking to himself. So it's the Punisher's like drive to kill everything in his path. You know what I'm saying? That's bad. Completely and utterly insane. They actually found a way to mix Deadpool's insanity and the Punisher's fuck everybody mentality, fuse them together, and we got a being that became the power cosmic and all sorts of stuff. But it's the Punisher.
Yeah.
they did change. They did do a storyline with the Punisher. That was wild. If you haven't read it and whatnot, it's funny. It's pretty damn funny.
All right, I actually am aware of that. It's something I've wanted to pick up, and it's funny. Yeah. What do you think when they do things like that with characters, man? And have you ever thought of doing something to that degree with any of the things that you've written, as far as taking something and then just taking it not to the next level, but 20 levels above?
No, probably not like that. I do like to keep something grounded. So if you have an established character, I don't want it going to exponentially another level where it's almost not the character anymore. It might have the same name and similar powers, but so much more powerful. The story as a storyline, the Punisher Ghost Rider mix, I think is a very interesting idea and a cool one on the surface. But I wouldn't want that to be his permanent character. I'm taking it from a multiverse type of scenario rather than the regular.
I'm pretty positive that that wasn't in 616. For anyone that doesn't know, that's the actual designation of the real comic book universe in Marvel. Like that's their prime universe. It's 616. What a random ass number. That's besides the point, man. I'll tell you. And what's some random ass questions you've been asked, AJ, during this interview? For real. Hey, I do want to say, like, as far as anybody, tuning in, let me just drop some important things. Anybody tuning in, if you've enjoyed AJ, you can check out all his works on the links below. I don't care where you're at, Spotify, Amazon, whatever. There will be links to all of his work. You can go check it out for yourself in depth, right? If you got kids, get them reading comics. Because one thing that comics really helps is man, look at that. I lost the word.
Comprehension.
Comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
I was wanting to say perception for some reason. But in all honesty, it can help that as well, because the higher your comprehension is, the more you can perceive. So, see, I flipped it right, Hardaway. Don't dick with me, man. Where's your video go?
I was helping you. What do you mean video?
I don't see you, Hardaway.
What about now?
A little frozen.
Yeah, because I see me. Hey, I'm like looking good on my screen. Am I going on yours?
No, you're not. Whatever.
Both good for mine.
You know what?
Both good for mine.
We can see AJ. That's the important thing. I don't know why the hell Hardaway went away, but he did, man. He did that on a different episode too. We won't bring his headaches up no more, though, right? Right. I hope you all have enjoyed this interview with the questionnaire. Before we cut this short, man, I got a couple more things I want to do. Real quick, AJ, can I get you to be like, hey, this is AJ Williams. You're listening to the questionnaire. Or this is AJ Williams. Make sure you catch the questionnaire every Wednesday at 7. And if you want to drop some promo on your own end, do it.
So this is AJ Williams. I would like you to catch the questionnaire every Wednesdays at 7. And don't miss an episode. These guys are great. Check out my stuff on SailWheelStudios.com. You'll find everything you need to know about me and my company. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. Look, and like I said, those links will be right below in wherever you're at, in whatever description. Click them, go to them, check the man out. But
And
I
he
do got to
froze.
say, if you
Everybody
shoot,
froze.
whatever,
What
you're
the hell?
fine, Hardaway. Can we just roll? Don't interrupt me, man. We're done, right? What's wrong with you? I don't care if you got like teleported away by Nightcrawler or some crap. Don't even give me nothing about it, right? Because I want to let you all know. Look, Hardaway vanished on me at the end of the interview. What the hell? But if you've enjoyed this interview, right, where Hardaway just vanished again, man, he must have had a headache. He's gonna kill me for that joke. All right, if you've enjoyed this interview, do me a favor, right? Either send him an AEW Beyond Meat burger, bro. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? How you gonna like that Beyond Meat? We ain't even get into that. Or some of them original 1977 Star Wars figures, right? If you've enjoyed it. Now, if you have not enjoyed AJ and everything he said, do me a favor, send him a xenomorph, and I mean the kind from Alien, covered in liver. Have a good night, y'all.